Strength and weakness are terms that often hold different meanings depending on the context in which they are used. In a broad sense, strength can be described as the ability to withstand pressure, adversity, or hardship. It is the quality that allows an individual to face challenges with determination, resilience, and perseverance. On the other hand, weakness refers to the lack of ability or capacity in certain areas, often linked to vulnerability or deficiency. But these concepts are more nuanced than they might initially seem. Strength is often glorified. We tend to admire those who are physically strong, mentally tough, and unyielding in the face of adversity. Strength is associated with independence, power, and success. The idea is that the stronger you are, the more you can accomplish, and the less you will be affected by external challenges. Strength often represents control, mastery, and the ability to overcome obstacles with force or willpower. Weakness is frequently viewed negatively. To be weak is often equated with being ineffective, vulnerable, or dependent. We are taught from an early age to hide our weaknesses, avoid showing vulnerability, and present ourselves as confident and capable individuals. There is a stigma attached to weakness as it is perceived as something that holds people back from achieving their goals and reaching their full potential. In this mindset, weakness is something to be ashamed of, something that should be suppressed or hidden at all costs. This binary view of strength and weakness is overly simplistic. Strength and weakness are not always separate or opposing forces, and one does not necessarily exclude the other. In fact, weakness can be a catalyst for strength. For example, acknowledging one's vulnerabilities can lead to emotional growth, self-awareness, and empathy. When we recognize our weaknesses, we become more attuned to the areas of our lives that need attention, improvement, or healing. It is through these moments of weakness that we often find our true resilience. Consider the example of a person going through a difficult time, whether it is a personal loss, a health issue, or a professional setback. Initially, they may feel weak, overwhelmed, or defeated. However, it is in these moments that they can also uncover their inner strength. It is in facing weakness head on that many people discover an unwavering will to persevere, to push through the pain, and to grow stronger. This process can make a person more empathetic, more patient, and more compassionate not only toward others but toward themselves as well. Recognizing and accepting weaknesses can lead to positive change. When we admit that we don't have all the answers or that we can't do everything alone, we open ourselves to learning and growth. Embracing weakness often leads to greater self-improvement as it allows us to seek help, develop new skills, and adopt healthier ways of thinking and being. In contrast, when we ignore or deny our weaknesses, we limit our potential for growth. We create a barrier that prevents us from evolving and adapting to new circumstances. Strength and weakness are not absolute or mutually exclusive. They are dynamic and fluid aspects of our being that coexist in various combinations. The key lies in understanding that weakness does not diminish our value or potential. Rather, it can serve as an invitation for growth, a reminder that true strength often arises from vulnerability. By embracing both our strengths and weaknesses, we can create a more balanced, authentic, and resilient version of ourselves. Breaking the stigma around weakness is a crucial step toward creating a more compassionate, resilient, and authentic society. For generations, weakness has been viewed as something to be ashamed of, something to hide or overcome at all costs. Society's portrayal of strength often emphasizes toughness, independence, and perfection, while weakness is associated with vulnerability, failure, and inadequacy. This perception has led many to suppress their emotions, mask their struggles, and project an image of invulnerability, even when they are dealing with significant challenges. It's time to challenge these outdated beliefs and begin to embrace the truth that weakness is a natural, inevitable part of the human experience. First, we must recognize that weakness is not a personal flaw, but rather a universal experience. Everyone has weaknesses, and everyone faces moments of vulnerability. The idea that only the strong survive or that success is reserved for those who can power through. Every obstacle creates unrealistic expectations and contributes to feelings of isolation and inadequacy. When individuals perceive weakness as a personal failing, they are less likely to seek help, share their experiences, or ask for support. This perpetuates a cycle of shame and self-doubt. In contrast, normalizing weakness as an inherent part of life encourages people to speak out, share their struggles, and support each other in times of difficulty. Embracing weakness is key to fostering emotional and psychological well-being. Bottling up emotions or pretending that everything is fine, despite internal struggles, can lead to burnout, stress, and mental health issues. Suppressing weakness often leads to feelings of anxiety, depression, and a sense of disconnection from others. On the other hand, when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and acknowledge our weaknesses, we open up space for healing, growth, and emotional resilience. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of courage and strength. It takes tremendous bravery to admit that we don't have all the answers or that we need help. When we do this, we not only relieve ourselves of the burden of secrecy, but we also create an opportunity for others to connect with us on a deeper level. The stigma surrounding weakness is particularly harmful in certain areas of life, such as mental health. Many people struggle with issues like anxiety, depression, and trauma, but feel unable to speak about them due to the fear of being judged or stigmatized. This fear can prevent individuals from seeking the support they need, leading to prolonged suffering and a sense of isolation. However, when we challenge this stigma and create open, accepting environments, we can help individuals feel safe in expressing their vulnerabilities. Mental health challenges should be treated with the same compassion and understanding as physical health challenges, yet they continue to be misunderstood and often dismissed. Breaking the stigma around weakness also means redefining what it means to be strong. Strength is not about being invincible or unfeeling, it's about resilience, adaptability, and the ability to navigate difficulties with grace and self-compassion. Real strength lies in the capacity to face life's challenges, acknowledge our limitations, and rise above them with courage. When we accept that weakness and strength are interconnected, we empower ourselves to be more authentic, honest, and open. We give ourselves permission to grow, to learn, and to become more connected with the world around us. Breaking the stigma around weakness can lead to more productive and supportive environments. Employees who feel comfortable acknowledging their weaknesses are more likely to seek feedback, collaborate effectively, and find solutions to problems. A culture that encourages vulnerability and growth allows individuals to flourish and thrive. In contrast, a culture that punishes or ostracizes weakness can lead to burnout, disengagement, and decreased morale. Breaking the stigma around weakness is a necessary step in creating a more inclusive, supportive, and compassionate society. When we stop viewing weakness as something to hide and start embracing it as an opportunity for growth and connection, we empower ourselves and those around us. Weakness is not a sign of failure, it is an integral part of being human. By embracing our vulnerabilities, we can foster deeper relationships, greater self-awareness, and a more resilient world. It is time to stop fearing weakness and start recognizing it as a source of strength. Learning and growth through weakness is one of the most transformative aspects of the human experience. When we encounter difficulty, failure, or vulnerability, we are often confronted with our limitations, but it is through these moments of weakness that we gain the greatest opportunities for self-improvement. Weakness in this context is not something to be ashamed of or avoided, but rather an invitation to learn, adapt, and ultimately grow stronger. One of the key lessons that weakness teaches us is the importance of self-awareness. When we face our weaknesses, we become more in tune with who we truly are, including our limitations, fears, and areas that need improvement. This level of self-awareness is the first step in personal growth, as it allows us to assess what is working in our lives and what isn't. Whether it's recognizing a gap in knowledge, realizing we need emotional support, or admitting that we cannot handle everything on our own, acknowledging weakness opens the door to introspection. Self-awareness helps us see ourselves more clearly, which in turn enables us to make more informed decisions and take more meaningful action towards self-improvement. Weakness also teaches us the value of persistence. Life is full of setbacks, and it's easy to feel defeated when we encounter obstacles. However, it is through these challenges that we learn the most about our own resilience. Instead of avoiding failure or pretending we are invincible, embracing our weaknesses allows us to face failure with a growth mindset. Each time we fall, we gain valuable insights into how we can do better next time. We learn to reframe setbacks as opportunities for learning and personal development rather than as signs of our inadequacy. This shift in perspective is powerful because it turns weakness into a stepping stone for success. Rather than being defined by failure, we begin to define ourselves by how we respond to it. Another important aspect of learning through weakness is the development of empathy. When we struggle with our own challenges, we become more compassionate toward others who are going through similar difficulties. Experiencing weakness fosters understanding, and this understanding deepens our connections with others. It allows us to offer support, encouragement, and kindness to those around us, recognizing that everyone has their own battles to fight. This growth in empathy not only enhances our relationships, but also fosters a sense of community, where vulnerability is welcomed and strength is drawn from mutual support. Through weakness, we also learn the importance of vulnerability. Admitting that we are not perfect, that we need help, or that we don't know something is often perceived as a sign of weakness. However, vulnerability is actually a strength. It requires courage to be open about our limitations. And this openness can create deeper, more genuine connections with others. By embracing vulnerability, we allow ourselves to receive support, learn from others, and become more authentic in our interactions. It is through these honest, vulnerable moments that we are able to grow, not just as individuals, but as a community. Weakness challenges us to become more adaptable and resourceful. When we encounter areas of our lives where we are lacking, we are often forced to seek out new knowledge, new tools, or new strategies. This search for solutions sparks innovation and creativity. For instance, when faced with a task that seems beyond our capabilities, we may be pushed to learn new skills, ask for help, or find creative ways to overcome the challenge. In this process, we develop problem-solving abilities and adaptability, two qualities that are essential for growth and success in any area of life. Weakness is not a barrier to growth, but rather a catalyst for it. Embracing our weaknesses allows us to deepen our self-awareness, develop persistence, grow in empathy, and build the strength to overcome future challenges. It encourages us to be vulnerable, ask for help when we need it, and learn from the setbacks that inevitably come our way. By recognizing the opportunities that lie within our weaknesses, we can transform them into stepping stones for a stronger, more resilient version of ourselves. In this way, weakness becomes not something to hide from or fear, but an essential part of the growth process. Strength and vulnerability is a concept that challenges conventional ideas of power and resilience. Society often associates strength with invulnerability, toughness, and the ability to withstand challenges without showing any signs of weakness. However, true strength is not the absence of vulnerability, but the courage to embrace it. Vulnerability, often seen as a weakness, actually holds incredible power. It is through vulnerability that we connect deeply with others, grow emotionally, and cultivate the resilience necessary to face life's greatest challenges. At the core of strength in vulnerability is the ability to be open, honest, and authentic, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky. Vulnerability is not about being weak or exposed, it's about being real. It's the courage to show up as you are, to express your emotions, to ask for help when needed, and to acknowledge your imperfections. In this way, vulnerability becomes a source of inner strength. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we free ourselves from the burden of perfectionism and the fear of judgment. We let go of the need to appear flawless or invincible and instead embrace the truth of who we are, flaws and all. One of the most powerful aspects of vulnerability is its role in building authentic connections. When we allow ourselves to be open and vulnerable, we invite others to do the same. This creates an environment of trust and mutual understanding. Vulnerability fosters empathy, as it allows us to share our struggles and triumphs with others, knowing that we are not alone in our experiences. By showing our true selves, we encourage others to show theirs, leading to deeper, more meaningful relationships. These connections are built on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect, rather than on superficial appearances or perfection. Vulnerability plays a crucial role in emotional growth and healing. Many of us fear vulnerability because we associate it with pain, rejection, or failure. Vulnerability is an essential part of the healing process. When we allow ourselves to feel and express difficult emotions, whether it's sadness, fear, or grief, we give ourselves permission to heal. Bottling up emotions or pretending that everything is okay only prolongs emotional pain and prevents us from moving forward. Vulnerability, on the other hand, allows us to release our emotions, process our experiences, and ultimately grow stronger. It is through vulnerability that we learn to accept our emotions without judgment and to navigate life's challenges with resilience. In addition to emotional growth, vulnerability also enhances our capacity for self-compassion. When we acknowledge our vulnerabilities and imperfections, we cultivate a kinder, more understanding relationship with ourselves. Instead of criticizing ourselves for our perceived flaws or shortcomings, we learn to accept and love ourselves as we are. This self-compassion is essential for mental health and well-being, as it allows us to move through life with a sense of grace and self-acceptance. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we are better equipped to show compassion to others, creating a positive cycle of vulnerability and empathy. Vulnerability can lead to personal and professional growth in many areas of life, whether it's in the workplace, in relationships, or in personal development. Vulnerability is a necessary ingredient for progress. Taking risks, asking for help, and admitting when we don't know something all require vulnerability. By embracing vulnerability, we allow ourselves to grow, learn, and evolve. Vulnerability opens the door to new opportunities as it encourages us to step outside of our comfort zones, challenge our assumptions, and be open to new experiences. It is through vulnerability that we learn the most important lessons of life, lessons about ourselves, about others, and about the world around us. Strength in vulnerability is a transformative concept that empowers us to live more authentically, build deeper connections, and grow emotionally and personally. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it is a source of strength that allows us to face life's challenges with resilience, openness, and courage. By embracing vulnerability, we free ourselves from the constraints of perfectionism and fear and open ourselves up to the fullness of life. It is in our moments of vulnerability that we find our greatest strength that comes from the willingness to be real, to connect with others, and to embrace the beauty of our shared human experience. Real-life examples of individuals who have embraced their weaknesses and turned them into strengths can serve as powerful reminders of the transformative power of vulnerability. These stories illustrate how acknowledging personal struggles, challenges, or limitations can lead to extraordinary growth and success. The following examples highlight how embracing vulnerability can be a catalyst for strength, resilience, and achievement. One of the most well-known examples of turning weakness into strength is the story of Oprah Winfrey. Oprah faced significant challenges growing up, including poverty, abuse, and discrimination. These early experiences left deep emotional scars and could have easily defined her future in a negative way. However, Oprah chose to confront her past, share her struggles openly, and use her personal experiences to connect with others. By embracing her vulnerabilities and being transparent about her hardships, Oprah was able to build one of the most successful careers in television history. Her authenticity resonated with millions of people worldwide, and she became a symbol of empowerment for individuals who had faced adversity. Oprah's willingness to expose her weaknesses was not a sign of defeat. It was the very thing that helped her unlock her immense strength and become a source of inspiration for others. Another powerful example is J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. Before her books became a global phenomenon, Rowling was living as a single mother on welfare, struggling with depression, and facing rejection after rejection from publishers. She could have easily given up or hidden her struggles, but instead she embraced her vulnerabilities and used them as fuel for her writing. Her personal experiences with hardship and failure were woven into her books, which explore themes of resilience, perseverance, and overcoming obstacles. Rowling's story is a testament to the power of embracing vulnerability and using life's challenges as a source of creativity and strength. Today, her books have sold millions of copies worldwide, and she is considered one of the most successful authors of all time. Stephen Hawking, the renowned theoretical physicist, is a prime example of how embracing a weakness, such as the diagnosis of a debilitating disease, can lead to groundbreaking achievements. Hawking was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis ALS at the age of 21 and was given only a few years to live. Despite this devastating diagnosis, he chose not to allow his physical limitations to define him. Instead, he continued his groundbreaking work in the field of cosmology, developing theories on black holes and the nature of the universe. His ability to embrace his weakness and continue to work and contribute to science, even as his body deteriorated, demonstrated an incredible strength of spirit. Stephen Hawking's story serves as a powerful reminder that even in the face of severe physical weakness, intellectual and emotional strength can flourish, leading to a lasting legacy of achievement and influence. The story of Malala Yousafzai also illustrates the profound strength that comes from embracing vulnerability in the face of adversity. Malala, a Pakistani advocate for girls' education, was shot by the Taliban at the age of 15 for speaking out about the importance of education for girls in her country. After surviving the attack, she did not retreat into fear or silence, but instead became an even more vocal advocate for girls' rights and education. Malala's willingness to share her story with the world, despite the trauma she endured, has inspired millions of people globally. Her vulnerability in the face of danger and her refusal to be silenced by violence have made her one of the most prominent voices in the fight for girls' education. Malala's strength lies not only in her courage, but in her ability to turn her personal suffering into a powerful tool for change, proving that vulnerability can be a driving force for social transformation. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a former professional wrestler turned actor, is another example of someone who has embraced his weaknesses and used them to fuel his success. Johnson has openly discussed his struggles with depression and the emotional toll it has taken on his life. Rather than hiding this aspect of himself, he has been candid about his mental health challenges, encouraging others to seek help and be open about their struggles. His honesty has helped break the stigma surrounding mental health and has inspired countless individuals to address their own emotional well-being. Johnson's openness about his vulnerabilities has allowed him to connect deeply with his fans, making him not only a successful entertainer but also a role model for emotional resilience and self-acceptance. These examples of Oprah Winfrey, J.K. Rowling, Stephen Hawking, Malala Yousafzai, and Dwayne Johnson demonstrate that embracing weakness does not limit success. It can, in fact, lead to the creation of something even greater. Each of these individuals used their vulnerabilities, whether emotional, physical, or social, as a source of strength. Their stories highlight that acknowledging our weaknesses, sharing our struggles, and being vulnerable can ultimately lead to profound growth, personal achievement, and the ability to inspire others. Rather than seeing vulnerability as a liability, they recognized it as a gateway to strength, empowerment, and transformative success. Embracing weakness and harnessing it for strength is a transformative process that requires intentional effort, self-reflection, and a willingness to grow. Rather than seeing weaknesses as barriers, individuals can learn to view them as opportunities for growth, self-awareness, and resilience. There are several practical steps that can guide someone through this process, empowering them to turn vulnerability into strength. The first step in embracing weakness is to practice self-awareness. This involves taking the time to reflect on your life and identify areas where you may be struggling, whether emotionally, physically, or intellectually. Self-awareness is essential because it allows you to recognize and acknowledge your weaknesses rather than ignore or deny them. This could mean identifying a fear of failure, a lack of self-confidence, or an area of knowledge that you feel insecure about. By acknowledging these weaknesses, you take the first step toward understanding yourself better. Keeping a journal or engaging in regular self-reflection can help you develop greater insight into the areas where you feel vulnerable, making it easier to address them consciously. Once you've identified your weaknesses, the next step is to practice self-compassion. We are our harshest critics, especially when we recognize our vulnerabilities. Instead of criticizing or judging yourself for having weaknesses, offer yourself kindness and understanding. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same care and empathy you would offer a close friend in a similar situation. When you accept your weaknesses without judgment, you create a safe space for personal growth. Self-compassion can be practiced through positive self-talk, mindfulness, and allowing yourself to make mistakes without dwelling on them. This step is critical because it reduces the shame often associated with weakness, allowing you to move forward with greater confidence. Another important step is to reframe your perspective on weakness. Rather than viewing it as a flaw or a source of failure, reframe it as an opportunity for growth. Weakness can teach you valuable lessons about resilience, creativity, and perseverance. For example, if you struggle with time management, rather than seeing it as a personal failure, view it as an opportunity to develop better organizational skills or explore strategies that can help you work more effectively. This shift in perspective helps to unlock the potential hidden within your weaknesses, making them a springboard for improvement. Instead of avoiding your weaknesses or feeling defeated by them, embrace the idea that they are a necessary part of your personal development. The next practical step is to seek help and build a support network. Recognizing that you cannot do everything on your own is a crucial part of embracing vulnerability. Seeking help when needed, whether through therapy, mentorship, or support from friends and family, can provide valuable insights, encouragement, and guidance. Reaching out to others helps to reduce feelings of isolation and reminds you that everyone has weaknesses. No one is immune to struggles, and having a support system can make it easier to navigate difficult times. Additionally, surrounding yourself with people who are open and accepting of their own vulnerabilities can create an environment where embracing weakness is normalized and encouraged. Embracing weakness involves setting realistic goals for self-improvement. It's important to understand that personal growth is a gradual process and that change doesn't happen overnight. Rather than expecting immediate perfection, focus on small, manageable steps toward improvement. If your weakness is social anxiety, for example, set a goal to initiate one conversation each week, gradually increasing your comfort level. These incremental steps allow you to make progress at a pace that feels manageable and less overwhelming. Celebrate each small achievement along the way, as these milestones build confidence and reinforce the idea that weakness is not permanent, but something you can improve upon over time. Embrace the power of vulnerability in relationships. Vulnerability allows you to connect with others on a deeper level, creating bonds based on authenticity and mutual understanding. When you share your weaknesses with others, you invite them to do the same, which can foster stronger, more supportive relationships. Being vulnerable doesn't mean revealing everything at once, but it does involve being open about your challenges, fears, and limitations when the situation calls for it. This mutual sharing can create a sense of belonging and remind you that everyone has their own struggles. Vulnerability in relationships leads to greater empathy, trust, and cooperation, helping you navigate life's challenges with others who support and uplift you. Embracing weakness and harnessing it for strength requires a combination of self-awareness, self-compassion, a shift in perspective, seeking help, setting realistic goals, and fostering vulnerability in relationships. These practical steps empower individuals to view their weaknesses as opportunities for growth, rather than something to be ashamed of. By recognizing and accepting our vulnerabilities, we can unlock the strength hidden within them, leading to a more resilient, authentic, and empowered life.